Hello.
Hey, how are you, Michelle?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Hi,
Just
Rachel.
How are you, Alex?
I am good, and you?
Good, thank you. You have a good weekend?
Yes, very much so. Got some sunlight and played outside. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
great.
yeah, Rowan enjoyed it. Alex played.
Oh, that's awesome.
We actually, believe it or not, we did the unforgivable thing, and we watched movies today, and one of the ones was the sequel to Blue Lagoon, and then the movie thereafter, and which was also a sequel to the sequel, but basically it gives this image of this island paradise, with these trickling streams and beautiful life and
Lovely.
plentiful food and abundance. It's like, yay, beautiful
Mm,
reefs and fish.
stunning.
It's like, yay. So that's the world we should be living in.
Nice. Mm,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah. So shortly.
And what else? How was your week last week?
I actually am trying to set up these courses and basically to set up business marketing these things so that we can get money in, so that we can grow the organization quickly. So I made a lot of headway in getting business email addresses and all sorts of things, and all of the financial stuff sorted and all of that. So yeah, it was a very successful week. And yours?
It was also a successful week. It was breakup week. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of water slides. We went for a long walk. We also watched a movie, and then we had a picnic. And so we actually just, the last 3 days, we really just enjoyed our time together and wrapped up term 3. And it was very special. Everyone had a wonderful time. Very nice.
That's magical.
Yeah.
Alex,
Beautiful.
you can talk about the weekends. Rochelle, just before she does it, if you tilt your camera a little bit towards you, your eyes will be a little bit higher than halfway. Just 2/3 of the way. Perfect. Perfect. Now you're like a professional. Alex, with walks and everything, the nature stuff we've been doing.
Oh, the walks have been amazing. We've been trying to stretch our legs and doing a little bit more exercise than we normally do, and finding strength in each of us in doing these hard walks. Rowan is amazing when it comes to being a guide and showing everybody everything, and Brendan's like leads the pack, and he was like also, going on his own mission and showing us all the way, and beautiful scenery through these magnificent jungles and bush, and next to the streams, and then playing in the streams. Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we have got like these
Wow, that sounds really beautiful.
the Kloof Reserve
Yes.
reserves and Westfall and all of these different reserves and everything. They've got these incredible natural sort of ecosystems, and then the Tell Bush makes me so happy, and the leaf litter on the ground and all of the mushrooms and everything. It's like
Stunning.
some of the places like haven't been walked for quite a while because of COVID. So, oh my gosh, it's just so lovely.
No, we're definitely needing a new walking route as well. But, we haven't gone into any dense bush yet. More, along the small little roads and kloof, and around the little back roads and alongside the freeway. And we went to the place that is the source of the Umgani River.
Okay.
And it's on a farm that's 100 years old, 101 years old. and it's got the source of the Amgani River there, and it's a nursery, and they had these 100-year-old cacti,
Yeah.
and they were taller than me and bigger than me.
Wow.
They were massive, huge.
Wow. Wow.
It's like the family heirloom of these 90-year-old, 100-year-old cacti
Oh,
hiding at the
very
back of the
nice.
farm.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, but it would be nice to have more of a forest walk like you're explaining, Alex.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There is absolutely nothing that compares to
Nothing.
walking through these gorges, being by the riverside, and just playing in the river. I mean, every time we go, we just make sure we stop somewhere and just play in the water, and it just makes all of us so happy and playful
Connected.
and connected. Yes, absolutely. It becomes a whole different energy when you're playing in that water.
You know, I think that's the point. It's like the moment we get out of our heads and we get connected to the real world, then true happiness is experienced. It's like all those relationships. It's like, yay, I'm connected to something wonderful, you know.
Yeah. You realize that's all that matters.
That's it, you know. It's like Alex was
It's
like,
not so difficult.
yeah, if you pay attention, like, you know, it's so easy when you're on a walk. It's like, oh, I've got to worry about tomorrow and yesterday and blah, blah, blah. And I've got to say something. And it's like,
And being fit.
but then you stop that and you just quiet that mind. And then it's like, oh, wow, there's a buck. You know, it's like in Kloof Gorge, a buck, you know, really? And there it is, like doing its thing, but just staying just out of humans' harm's way, you know. It's just like just on the fringes, and then it walks away.
You just got to look beyond, you know, instead of just right in front of you the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
That was the theme of our walk. It was noticing the beauty all around us, because even nobody actually realizes at the moment we just literally have flowers everywhere, and we're just driving around and going from place to place, and it's just something I've always noticed. You know, I'll notice one sunflower that's on the side of the freeway, and I'm traveling at 100 kilometers an hour, and I'll see that one sunflower and I'll notice it, you know. So I've always been that way. So the theme was to looking for all the spring flowers that had bloomed. So the kids were amazed. They couldn't believe how many flowers there are everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
You know, and we learned about the different flowers, and then we came back and they drew their favorite ones from memory, and we wrote the name of it on their page, and they remembered exactly which ones they liked. Some chose Strelitzia, some chose succulents, and it was beautiful. They each picked their own favorites and drew them again in the book when we got back 2 hours later, because we walked about 4 kilometers, 3 or 4 kilometers. Yeah. I even had a little 4-year-old on the walk, and then with his little legs, he also went and did this long walk, but they loved it. They were such troopers. By the end, on the way back, they were saying, "Oh, I'm so tired," but I just said, "Come on, just push, we're nearly there." But it was such a great learning experience. Their language was developed. Their, you know, areas in mathematics were developed. We did botany. You know, there were so many different learning areas developed in that one lesson. You know, that's how education should be.
Yeah.
It should just be flow of life, and you'll learn everything you need to in that moment.
Yeah.
But
and really learn it, because your memory is related to stronger if there's an emotional attachment to it. So they're experiencing these experiences, the emotion, the reference point is like when we went on this walk, you know, it was like, yeah. And all of those things together have an incredibly powerful ability to to cement it into your mind, to create those neurological connections.
It's a holistic learning experience, yeah.
Exactly. But you know what's even more fascinating is I'm always looking at the trees, the tip tops of the trees, because to me that's new life, and it's all this luminescent yellowy greeny color at the top of new life. And but then flowers, as you say, like they are so starkly sort of vibrant against the environment. But you know what's really interesting? If somebody chooses a particular flower or color that they really truly love and can relate to, it's very, very connected to who they are as a personality. You can actually ask somebody, what is your favorite color? And they'll say this color and or this flower with this like white and a black center, and the white person with choosing white might be more of a perfectionist, and the black is like maybe the dark side to their character. And then you get people who are like who are high energy, who might choose like bright yellow, and they it's absolutely amazing. Just like what's it called? The effect of your star signs. There is a synchronicity between the energy that comes in at certain times and who we are born and who we become. So, and color is directly related to that because of the frequencies of energy that combine to manifest into who we are. So it's magical.
Even currently, I mean, there's 4 different planets that are currently spinning the opposite direction. That they usually do. And you don't think that's going to cause some kind of energy shift here? Of course it must. How can it not?
Oh, yeah.
And they're all spinning backwards at the same time. I think Mars is one of them, Venus is one of them, and there's 2 others as well. So that's what it's, when they say Mars is in retrograde or Venus is in retro, it's because they're spinning in the opposite direction.
Wow. I didn't know
they
that.
usually are. So that's why they say it creates energy shift, because they're literally changing their force field and going the opposite direction. So it's quite interesting.
Wow. That's a whole nother fascinating thing, colors and energy. And I mean, that's basically who we are. We are this incredible vibrating energy beings. And all of those things affect us. And of course, the colors around us, the energy around us, the people around us, the light around us, all affect who we become. So being out in nature. They reflect
who we are.
Exactly.
Actually. We create that universe.
Exactly. But I call it sounds of the forest when you go into the jungle and you're connected to the buzzing of the bees and the vibrations of the trees. You just put your hands on it and you can feel it, So it's like we are essentially expressions of nature within nature. So it's really important that we do that. So anyway, we're way off topic, but absolutely amazing part of the conversation.
Can you give me 2 minutes? I just want to grab a jersey. I'm feeling cold.
Okay, go for it. Go.
I'm going to come back now. All right.
Okay, good.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Brendan.
I'm at work, so I won't be able to talk. But I'll do the introduction, and then it's a bit noisy at the moment.
Yeah, you might have to turn your microphone off once you've introduced yourself, or when you introduce yourself, talk and then switch it off again. Deschooling Humanity. Hello and welcome, my friends, to our 46th Help Save Our World online speakers meeting, where we'll be revealing and discussing more hidden secret truths about education. I am Dennis, the teacher of this quest for the truth, change, and transformation. For those of you who don't know, these meetings are based on my lifelong personal quest for the truth, change, and transformation, and my subsequent book titled Beyond the Age of Ignorance, The Quest for the Truth. The purpose of this book and these meetings, and of course this and the in-depth course Beyond the Age of Ignorance are to transform the way humans think and live in our world, to help save our world and all life on it. This is done by leading people like you on their personal journey of awakening, raising their knowledge, their awareness, and their consciousness to an age of reason beyond this age of ignorance. Through this process, or these processes, we'll be uncovering the causes of the world's problems, uncovering what went wrong and how it went wrong, and when it went wrong, and then how to change it, while revealing the secret, hidden wisdom of nature, life, and the universe. Ultimately, through your thought journey and life transforming journey, your quest for the truth, change, and transformation, you will be gathering the knowledge, the skills, and the wisdom that you need to empower you to make wise choices and to become a wise thought leader of our times, where you'll lead others to create and grow a happy, healthy, and sustainable and abundant future for all life on planet Earth. Then, as an added benefit, you will be speaking up for yourself, speaking up for others, and speaking up for all of the voiceless ones, your children, the poor, and all life on Mother Earth. By attending these world-changing meetings, you are becoming part of a world transformation movement that's designed to bring fundamental change to human life so that we can help save our world together. These Help Save Our World online speakers meetings are where we are changing that conversation to change our world. And it all begins with you deciding and making a firm commitment to regularly support us and become part of this conversation. Let's start with introductions. Please introduce yourself, Rochelle.
Hello, I'm Rochelle. I am an educator and a curriculum designer, and I have a school in Kloof, South Africa. Great to be here.
Okay, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, Rochelle. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, guys. I'm Alex. I'm here in South Africa. I'm working currently on improving myself, my physical needs and my nutrition needs at the moment. That is my focus at the moment, to strive for a healthier lifestyle.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Brendan?
Hi, I'm Brendan. I'm currently at work right now, so if you hear any funny noises in the background, it's just because I work at a bar at night, so just forgive me for that. I'm from South Africa. I'm 25. I'm currently on a journey to help save the world and start some eco-villages in order to train people and teach people how to better themselves and the environment around them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brendan. All right, so I'll start just by giving a sort of background. So the week before last, we began our series of meetings on education. And the title of the speech was, Is Education Helping Us or Killing Us? Then last week, we continued with our meeting titled Deschooling Humanity. And the title for today's speech is Revealing the Hidden Secret Truths about Education, its Problems and its Solutions. Now, this is an incredibly big section, and we'll discuss it later, but how to approach it, I'm just going to dive in and do a few sections, and then we'll talk about it. So We all know that learning is fundamentally important to human life and survival. So what we learn and how we learn it is profoundly important to our lives and the future which we will manifest around us as a result of what we learned. Now, we should all know that we create our own reality. So would it not be to our advantage to prepare ourselves and our children well so we and them can naturally create a happy, healthy, and sustainable future that we all deserve to live in? It is plain to see, with a little thought and observation, that the standardized Christian national education institutions didn't serve us well, nor are they serving our children as they should do. In fact, they are harming them and the world our children will create as a result of that institutionalized, standardized domestication and indoctrination process or system. Don't you think that if we know where the education system went wrong and what the alternatives and solutions are, wouldn't we make better choices? Then as a result of these choices, we could change the way our children live their lives. And in this way, they will naturally manifest the world that they deserve to live in, like this behind me. Like I've said right from the beginning of these meetings, if we change the way we raise our children, we will change the world in a few generations. There is no better way to help save our world and to create a better future for our children than raising them to live a natural way of life based on thought, reason, and natural wisdom. Now I'm going to go to the slides that I've got. I've got about 43 slides that I created many years ago, actually. So just for your benefit, Rochelle, last week in my first speech, I spoke about mathematics being this abstract idea, and that if we abstract the way we see the world, we don't really see the world as it should be. And basically, the concept of the unit one on which mathematics is based, to me, it's an abstract concept, because if you look at a tree, you can say, oh, that's one tree, and there are other trees that are similar to it, but there is no absolutely perfect one energy being that's this perfect tree that's identical to a whole lot of other trees. Every single tree and every vibration and every atom is unique to the space it occupies and the vibrations which make it up and the patterns that form the trees. So the concept of one is foreign to our natural worldview. It's an abstract idea. And then, of course, we build mathematics beyond that, but mathematics is only a tool. So it's very important to watch out for that. And so the next thing is our modern education system creates mass distraction. It's basically, we're distracted for our whole lives in an education system that most of our lives, I mean, up until the age of 27 or whatever age, when we finish our degree and our master's and our doctorate or whatever, for that whole period of our lives, the critical sort of life-forming period of our lives, we're totally distracted. And of course, it's a large volume of people, so mass distraction from life and from the truth. So while we're in these abstract ideas, we don't see the actual truth, and we don't live life. We're literally stuck in classrooms, living inside our heads and not in the real world. So disintegration of knowledge. Now this is a really interesting thing. We teach subjects and lectures on parts of subjects, and we basically disintegrate knowledge. Now, if you're a dream writer like I am, you realize that dreams and consciousness and everything is just totally continuously connected in all different ways and directions and so on. So and how you perceive it and everything is totally unique from at that particular perceptive moment in that you would perceive it. So the totality of your life and experience and everything, it's really, so the idea of disintegrating knowledge and taking a unit, a chunk out, and then getting kids to learn it, there is this disassociation from living. Disempowerment, empowering the tribes and communities, basically by taking away their children, and the big thing was actually when the missionaries first came across Africa, they made out that their way of thinking was the only way of thinking, and that all of the people who believed in the ancient wisdom, the Sangomas and Indunas and all of that, that was all nonsense, and only this Western or religious way of thinking was the right way of thinking. So that was very destructive. So create unaware and unconscious workers and armies of plunderers. Well, that was the design of the system. The design of the system was to enrich the super rich and basically get the people to become wage earners and workers within an industrialized society, and or under the control of the king, doing what the king's bidding, you know. And of course, developing armies to perpetuate that paradigm, whatever was dominant at the time. So, and the armies would go out and plunder and take from other people. And so also you have the agricultural methods doing that as well, basically destroying the natural ecosystems and putting in unnatural systems and plundering the earth until it was depleted. So, and of course, I said the abstract ideas. So there's a lot of these abstract ideas on which the system is based are designed to replace true natural knowledge and wisdom of nature and life, the purpose of which is to prepare our children for that abstract way of life, living in their heads, distracted from nature, not really living. So subjects, it's a disintegration. It's like we have specialist ways of thinking, leading people in within a paradigm into a particular designed future. So abstract bias, there's a lot of bias in the education system, like science, for example, is biased towards materialism, the concept of atoms and things and so on. And that's purely a bias, which is fundamentally untrue at that level. And I can give you extra reading and so on to go and check that out. So it's untrue in nature. And of course, what its purpose is to perpetuate the paradigm. So languages, this is a really interesting one. It's like the languages that we learn are specifically the languages of power. You know, there are, like you say, Rochelle, there's something like 11 or 13 different languages in our country alone, and many more in Africa, and many more around the world. And we specifically focus on the languages of power. And at some stage it was French, and now it's mainly dominant English. And at some stage it might even turn into Spanish, you know. So, but basically it's the monopolization of thought through a language system, because languages are very, very culturally biased. They are designed to perpetuate a paradigm. So it's really interesting. I noticed that when I went to America, where the language they use is things like good and evil and black and white and heaven and hell, and it's like it's so extreme. It's like, no,
Separation.
you know, oh my gosh, it'll blow your mind. So then, of course, mathematics, that one unit thing I explained to you, sciences. There's so many, and these maths and science fall into the same category, like the concept of number and the concept of units, quantification, like who decides on a pound of flour, who decides 12 eggs in a dozen, volume, who decides how many milliliters or liters in a, or how many quarts in a gallon. These are all just subjective decisions at some stage, which result in these concepts of volume, scale. What is weight and mass? Like, what is, like, who decides that? They were just standardized units of measure, mass, time. Time is a fascinating thing. I mean, wherever you are in the world, you have a different time zone. What is time? Time is not a universal concept. Movement is, but time is an abstract idea. We created that to control people's movement and behavior. History, perspective of it's usually the perspective of the conqueror. And often we learn the history of the Bible. It's like, really? From every individual's perspective, their perspective of history would be totally different. And from every tribe's agreed perspective of history, there would be a totally different history. So history is a mental construct created by those in power usually. And you could see that when there was a change in power from the apartheid government to the ANC government, there was this total change in the take on history. So gives you like a living experience of that. So cartography, in geography, basically we've divided our world up into a whole lot of countries, towns, cities, borders, fences. And that's not the natural way. We are one holistic ecosystem. And yes, the where the land masses end and the water begins is what we perceive to be a boundary, but the land is all linked together. There's only just water between it. So what makes it separate? It's not separate. It's an abstract idea. And it's a very disintegrating concept or belief system that we are separate from the people across the river or across the ocean or whatever. Then accounting is focusing on number and money and power, and is quite often because of the concept of ownership. First of all, we need to trade. Like if you have something and I want it, then you need to give me something. Whereas in a natural world, like the lion is not paying anybody to take what he needs. Basically, the principle is there, you only take what you need and you're constantly part of the ecosystem contributing back. So there's no ownership. So therefore, there is no trading. And if there's no trading and there's nobody trying to provide protection and control, then there's no paying of taxes. And therefore, you live in a more natural world. So abstract ideas, technical drawing, focuses on abstract pictorial, two-dimensional or multiple dimensional, but graphic drawings of the world, not, of course, the real world. Very helpful. Technical subjects are basically a system of basically getting people into the industrialized technological world more effectively and more efficiently. Now, I was part of that system, and I find it extremely interesting. And of course, religions are abstract ideas. It's based on a whole lot of abstract ideas. Now, the point is with all of these things is, while tools are very helpful, never let your tools become your master, and never lose your humanity. Use your tools with love, compassion, consideration, and empathy. All right, that's one slide for today. Anybody want to speak about that?
I don't have much to say. I very much agree with everything. That's why, as I've mentioned before, education has to be completely reformed, completely. Because even the way that these subjects are being taught is just so pointless. And, times have changed so much as well, that we're wasting time getting children to rote learn and memorize and spit words out in an exam fashion. For what? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just agree with everything you've said.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I like that point that you brought up, the testing, and it is something that I bring up. But the whole idea of memory is the ultimate sort of indicator of intelligence, and how well you do in a test. That's like how success. It's really it's more for the actual system to be able to quantify and allocate and classify, and it's really got nothing to do with the children themselves.
Yeah,
it's
like you're a robot.
Exactly. We have this specialized education, and now you must memorize it. And if you do well
you're
on this
A and you're
test,
B and you're C
exactly.
and you're D.
It's like, what?
It's ridiculous.
So you can have a good life, and you can have a bad
competition.
Life. Exactly. Oh my
Competition's encouraged, and better, good and bad, and right and wrong, and separate and dividing, and it's this constant division. There's no unity at all.
Yeah, I mean that principle of division is absolutely amazing, because I mean it's that whole idea of you take a child out of nature and you put him in a classroom, and then you put him in a separate desk from all the other children, and then you make them compete to be the best. It's like, what are you doing? You're destroying relationships. You destroy the relationship between all of life and nature outside. You're destroying relationship, because, I mean, you know that thing when somebody succeeds, somebody else feels bad and hurt and unsuccessful. And so what are you doing to your friends and to your relationships if you're constantly beating them at everything you do?
Competition's banned at my school. We don't do exams. We don't have competition. We don't have star charts. We don't have any of that. And even if they are playing soccer against one another and someone scores a goal, I'll always say, remember, there's no competition, and I just remind them, obviously it's nice to play in a sense and in a playful manner, but even in doing that, you can see how they still attack one another, winning and losing, and because they're already conditioned, they're already programmed by the time they're 8 years old. It's already done. They need to feel that they're a winner to be good.
Yeah, and the thing is I think what we need to teach them there is it's all about having fun and playing together. It's like, yes, okay, so I scored a goal, but that wasn't really what it was. It was like, it was about the fun. It was about the game. It was about the process. Because that's where the growing is happening. It's like the skill is happening when somebody kicks a ball and of course they miss, and then they kick it again and again and again, and eventually, and that's like, oh my gosh, I've learned, I've grown, I've lived. And that had nothing to do with being better than anyone else. It was about self-improvement and also improving yourself. You're improving everyone else around you, because it's like it's about the game. It's about being part of it. And we've taken that to the extreme in our culture. It's like the game is not the game anymore. It's about how successful you can be to become a superstar in the game.
With things and material possessions.
Exactly.
You're not whole and complete until you have a house and a car.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, like I said, that movie that we watched yesterday, just using palm fronds and whatever, and truly happy human beings. Alex?
Yeah, I'm fully with you guys there. What we've discussed today is absolutely amazing. I don't have any particular points, but yes, with regards to the pond funds in that movie, definitely a movie to see, where two kids get stranded on this island, but the thought that they should be sad and they should be upset that they can't get their Starbucks coffee in the morning, and have breakfast already made, but they have to do it themselves, and they end up being happier there than they have ever been in their entire lives. And different too, connected, feeling love and feelings. Whereas in this world that we've developed for children, it's a case of you will do this, you will do that. It's not a case of go play and have fun and learn stuff in the process. It's about routines and structure, and if you build a table, it has to be this many degrees that way and that many degrees this way. It's like, no, have fun, be creative, create a stacked table that you can have multiple levels and varieties and structures to it. Make it you. Don't make it conform.
I love that. And we see that in Alex, the thing about those creating the rickety, what do they call those places? What do they call them? Game farms and so on. They have like the rickety fence and with using unplaned trees, whatever.
Not even unbarked, it's just a tree branch, however curved and knobbled and structured, is now your handle on or your walking barrier up to your room. There's no straight planks and perfectly designed doors. It's sticks and twigs and maybe even canvas, if you lucky in the societal sense. But true beauty comes from nature. It comes from that uniqueness. And that's what we should be instilling in our children, is to be unique, but be connected and be joy and love and positivity.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay, so I forgot that I left this screen share on. Does anybody want to continue with that, or?
Yeah, I'm happy for you to continue. I think you could definitely add some more to this.
Okay, great. So the hierarchy of subjects, it's like English is like the most important, and then history, and then of course the sciences and mathematics are seen as lower down, and geography and so on. There's definitely like a hierarchy of what those in power need us to do and to be. So it's just something that comes up as an idea. Now, monopolization of language and cultures and so on, that is, of course, like I said, like the loss of all these cultures and languages around the world, which have so much richness and love and compassion and connectivity with nature. And oh my gosh, it's like, I think of the word hambanegatle, or the words hambanegatle, which is like, all of you go well. But the word gatle means carefully. Gatle, oh, be careful. Do carefully. Go well. Go safely. It's like I care that much about you that you must go safely so I can see you again. It's not bye. Anyway, so history has a very subjective timeline of the conquerors, and I've said that one already. So the interesting concept there is his story. All right. We live in a male dominant society, and it's his story as opposed to her story, or as opposed to the story of the indigenous cultures where matriarchal societies were more prevalent and so on. To me, that's an interesting concept. The religious and warring historical timeline, that's we need to take vengeance on the Midianites. It's like, no, you're just going to go and kill and steal their stuff. It's like, really? And your God told you to do that? No, not cool. So wiping out her story and the true historical past, whatever that truth is to each individual or whoever lived, So much is revealed in sciences. Okay, so this is really an interesting concept. So much is revealed in sciences, astronomy, archaeology, anthropology, then astrology and natural religions, and then searching within and in the true nature, the truth being revealed by the wonders of the world, nature, and many indigenous cultures. There's just so much that, like, if you astronomy, you can look into the future in terms of time, in terms of space, and then geology, like what happened on our planet over time. And you look at the Grand Canyon. To me, that was like I'd experienced it many times with erosion of areas. And if you look, you can see the geological changes and where life existed, and then life became extinct and or almost became extinct, and then continued and flourished for a period of time. You can see the history of the world in digging down into these layers of the earth, and then archaeology digging up old fossils and all that sort of thing. You can see that, and then anthropology, basically the history of humanity, and there's so much that is like to create this big picture and this perspective of our world that we can like really understand. We need to expand beyond that limited history that we're being taught, or that limited religious, like, life began like 12 or 14,000 years ago, and this is modern history. You know, what about everything else? So it's very destructive in that sense, in that it keeps us pretty stupid, you know. Mathematics and science for the Industrial Revolution, disintegration of knowledge and wisdom into subjects. Okay, I've done that. I'm sorry, this some of these, and into a linear progression of information. I always talk about people having a doctorate in indoctrination. You know, it's once you become that specialized, your head is so deeply stuck in the sand that all you can see is the grain of sand, and you cannot see the world around you.
Program.
So specialization into ignorance, controlled and micromanaged out of creativity. Like if you come up with another way, it's like, no, this is the way I'm teaching you. You have to do it this way. Testing, creating constant fear in our kids, and stress, and distracting goal setting. You know, it's like you can't be this creative self anymore. You're just so locked into this specialization. Success in the system is to fail in life. Now, that to me is such an important thing to know, is what we have perceived as these successfully educated people are now ruling our world, and our world is in big trouble. Why? It's not success. Success is living sustainably and living as one with nature. And so you might have all of the A's that you can imagine, like I've got an A+++ or whatever in every subject, and I'm a genius and whatever, but no, you're not. That is not genius. So total acceptance of distraction is to be totally unaware and unconscious and unenlightened. Ignorance is the result of ignoring life while being lost in one's head. Competition as opposed to cooperation, like you brought that up brilliantly. This is not human nature. It is human domestication, stupefaction, and indoctrination. You know, because people often say, oh, you know, he's just like that because it's human nature. And it's, no, that's what we did to our children. Okay, I'll stop there. Anyone can carry on.
That's all good. You can carry on.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide. Fear and stress is used to force and impose the standardized system upon our children. Government pressure, laws, you've got to go to school up until the age of 18 or 16 or whatever. And if you don't, your parents will be fined or whatever, subjected to some form of punishment for not making you go to school, and you will get punished, and maybe put into a reform school or something, so there's these systems, these institutionalized systems of punishment to make sure that you are part of that system. Then, of course, there's pressure throughout the education system. If you don't, so you'll call on social service to make you. Then, of course, the headmaster's pressure, like punishment, beating you, subjecting you to all sorts of things, and even kicking you out of school. Parental pressure, punishment, and conditional love. Often parents will say like, "Oh, you're the most amazing kid because you're doing so well at school, and I love you, and whatever." And now, "Oh, you're doing badly at school, so now I don't love you." It's like, no, you don't do that. It's like that form of parental punishment is extremely powerful, but it just really enforces the paradigm that's going to harm the kids anyway. So teachers' pressure, positive and negative reinforcement, the stars and everything like you were talking about. And then peer group pressure is like everyone believes that this is the way to having a great future and success and everything. So you get a lot of pressure from the kids around you who have no idea that what is happening is actually destructive. Need to be like the group or successful, and then success or failure, pressure from all. I mean, to fail is like considered the most, terrible thing you could do.
It's 5 to 5.
5 to 5. Okay,
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this up then, and then we can, if you want to talk, we can. We'll carry on because this is a lot of slides, and I know there is a bit of repetition. So if anyone would like to talk while I sort myself out, I would like that.
Absolutely. With regards to the parental pressure, I see it every single day with the parents out there. If you're not academically minded, you're stupid. If you, if you want to get a trade, then or get into a trade, then that's socially acceptable. But when you're out in the real world, it actually doesn't matter what you do. And it doesn't matter how you achieve your goals or your financial freedom of your families and your parents and your schooling system, as long as you do achieve them, because anyone who stays with their family is considered bad, and anybody who stays connected with or stays in school for too long is just, is this amazing person. It's just how we've got it all wrong and how we've been indoctrinated to believe all these things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being able to dig a hole and plant a tree. That is an acceptable form of labor and giving back. Being able to help someone across the road, that is an acceptable form of existence. So yeah, I don't understand how we got to where we got to, and how we choose the academic nonsense over loving our children.
Wow. That's a bit of a tricky situation. It's like for you to excel at something that requires a lot of specialization, you have to be willing to commit and really work hard. Like say, if you want to be good at mathematics, you've got to learn all of the basic principles, and you've got to do the work, and you've got to spend the time. But I think that's ultimately where the choice is. It's like, what do you choose to do and what do you choose to become? Plus, you need to consider how important the environment is in that process. So it's a tricky situation to make those decisions. Rochelle?
Well, I think personally we just have to try and not focus so much on all that is wrong, and also keep focusing on just making a difference, each one of us as individuals. And I found that I constantly remind the learners at school that we are connected and we are equal and we are the same. The only thing that separates us are our experiences. And in helping them, they've all forgotten who they are already. I mean, it's only normal because it's not like, I mean, even me as a parent, I haven't always been very conscious in all my reactions and decisions I've made. And but now that I've become more reflective with my own self, and realized that until I accept and appreciate my own self, nobody else that I'm telling in the whole wide world to do this and this and this and this is going to do any of it if I haven't done the work on myself first.
Absolutely.
And it literally just starts with us truly letting go all of our own conditioning and letting go all of our own self-judgment and letting go all of the things we did wrong and the things that, you know, were bad, and, you know, the things that we could have done better. And, you know, if we keep going thinking about, you know, this judgment, self-judgment, and running ourselves down and constantly telling ourselves that we've done something wrong or we're not good enough, or, you know, it's not going to do anything for anybody. And it's literally just perpetuating that same energy round and round and round and round and round. So for me personally, it's literally, we have to realize that until we are at this place of complete self-love, we can teach our children to do the same. And if they can love who they are right before the world got its hands on them, then they can start seeing love in one another, and they can literally start changing the world through that.
Absolutely. But for us to be able to understand what that conditioning is that we need to let go of, we need to be aware and talk about it, communicate it, so that there is an understanding, there is a knowledge that, you know, maybe we shouldn't be saying it that way. Maybe there is another way we can say it. Maybe we can communicate better across all levels. I mean, tell me there's more than a handful of people out there that understand that that how they are punishing their children is not that they are punishing their children and not just encouraging them to be better than what they were before. Explaining to them that it's their own conditioning, that it's their own conditioning in which they're punishing their children, to perpetuate the societal values and beliefs that they've been conditioned to know is true and the ultimate truth. We've got to talk about. We've got to have the conversation. We've got to communicate it.
Point it out.
Yeah, we've got to point it out. So we've got to touch on all the negatives in order to achieve positives, to achieve the conversational change, to really be blessed in thinking further than this is it. This is, you know.
Of course.
You go to school, you be great, and if you're not great, you're nothing. It's more than that. It's more that it's connecting with your family, it's being with your family, it's enjoying every minute of your lives together, because they're not going to be around for much longer, and you know you've got it now. You've got these connections, you've got these people coming into your lives now. Enjoy it while it lasts.
You know, both of you hit on amazing points there. Like the thing is, it's like critically important that we need to keep our energy up. We need to keep hope. We need to be positive. And ideally, the energy we need to put out there to create that better future is, of course, that energy of love and positivity and and growing a better future. All right.
Mm.
Now that is fundamentally important. Then Alex brings up the point that we really need to know the details. And I'm with Alex and you on both exactly the
Mm.
same stuff. All right. But and you're both 100% right. But I'm you brought up competition. We don't do that in our school. Now, what is that? That's like one of those things.
Mm.
You highlighted it without knowing it.
Mm. And I
And,
point it out all the time, even when they're
and
competing with each other, their egos, you know, and I point it out
exactly.
how they don't
So
feel good when it's happening.
exactly, exactly,
Doesn't feel nice. Even though
exactly.
you've
So
been told that it's good, it's not good. Doesn't feel good.
yeah,
So
it might be a short term, I feel good, but then when you've got no friends, it's not, I feel good anymore. I feel like
mm,
really bad. I mean, I stopped playing card games and all of these other games because I tend to win all the time. It's just like it's one of those things because
mm,
I'm good at it. And then everybody is no, they don't like me and whatever because I'm always
mm,
winning and whatever. And it's like really, I am
feel
in
guilty
my
for it. Mm,
success hurting everyone else. It's like
mm,
no, that's not fair.
mm,
So the point is that's like one of these things that I'm
mm.
bringing up. All right. And there are many, many, many of them.
Meaning.
And when you see them, you're like, oh my gosh, that's true.
Mm,
And now that you see it as this whole thing of all of these things, you're like, oh my gosh, now I have the power to be able to say, okay, I don't want to do that one, and I don't want to do that one, and I want to do that one, and I want to do this, and I don't want to do. You now have brought it into your consciousness. And being conscious of your energy and changing your energy is important, but raising your perspective and your awareness and your consciousness of all of these things, it's like, oh my gosh,
you
now I
know,
am wise enough to make better choices.
I think because I am more conscious of that energy and the good and bad and right and wrong and all of that, it already denounces the entire system. So actually, you know, in terms of like, just for example, my curriculum design, it is completely alternative in every sense, completely. And right down to the way that the children speak to each other is controlled in a way that it comes from a place of love always, and it's kind and it's compassionate, and it's understanding that nobody's better than anybody else if they do something different, you know. And it's not your job to tell somebody that they're wrong. That's a big thing that I say all the time. It's not your job to tell someone they're wrong. If somebody says, I do it like this, that's fine. It's not your job to make someone feel like what they're doing is wrong, ever. And it's literally breeding a culture of this acceptance and this culture of love and compassion for one another. And in doing that, you can still do maths, but you don't do it in the sense where it's so rigid and it's in a book and it's always at a desk and it's, you know, and as I say to you, I don't do exams. I don't even do tests. I literally personally self-assess each learner every single moment throughout the day. You know, I'm doing little assessments without them even knowing it. Um, and it's literally about changing that entire system completely, completely.
You know, a fascinating thing is I sailed on yachts all around the world, and there were many, many children who sailed on yachts with their parents and so on. And at some stage, they decided they wanted to go to school just to be with other kids. And those kids were far more educated than any one of the other kids who had stayed in the education system. And they had just been traveling and learning all about nature and life and geography and planetary systems and stars and the universe and the way the earth spins and the winds and the waves and the currents and the tides. And it's like these kids are so well educated that they make somebody who's been in a school look absolutely ignorant.
It's a worldly education. It's a
Worldly
worldly
education.
education.
Having to live in love.
And it's so exciting that you can actually, when you learn about it, you feel it, you can almost smell it and taste it, and you feel it in your body. And it's, if education isn't doing that for you every moment, then you're wasting your time.
Exactly.
Just like it was done with us.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna round this section up. This meeting up, and then we can either continue, or we can continue next week. So I just want to
get going soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Just put this. So this last thing in here. You have the power to heal yourself and your children, and to empower others to heal themselves and heal the world. You can avoid extinction and create a happy, healthy, and sustainable future, age of reason and wisdom, and ultimately enlightenment, because you'll be able to see it. You do this by changing the way you think and live in our world, by going on your personal quest for the truth, change, and transformation, as you transition to living and growing a happy, healthy, sustainable, abundant future where we all thrive. Being open-minded, thinking, and questioning everything in search of the truth on your thought journey to find the truth, remembering and discovering the secret, timeless wisdom of life and nature. You'll uncover the secret wisdom of nature on this journey and the wisdom of the universe. We live in this connected universe, and everything that's created is part of this incredible wisdom and process and flow, which we all need to live by if we wish to survive. All while uncovering the secret abstract ideas, biased concepts, outright lies, and the deceptions of the dominant world-destroying paradigm. Realizing what we can do to help save our world, we create sustainable teaching eco-villages and spread them around the world. Then teaching others the knowledge, skills, and wisdom you have learned, we begin to change our world together. Empowered with this enlightened perspective, you'll be enabled to help us create an age of reason beyond this age of ignorance. Then together, we'll grow a happy, healthy, and sustainable age based on that natural wisdom, where we all live in love, balance, and harmony with one another as one with Mother Nature. So please join us, donate, subscribe, share, and invite others. Let's create a worldwide movement of fundamental change to help save our world. Please talk to everyone, like Brendan calls it, +1. If you can come and you can bring one other, talk to your friends and your family and get them to join us too. Remember, fundamental change begins with you and me, and of course, the rest of humanity. So let's change the conversation and change our world. Let's spread the truth and create an age of reason beyond this age of ignorance. Thank you. So that's that and that. Okay, so yeah,
thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll continue.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's wonderful to have you. You bring such a wonderful perspective to the group.
Thank you.
And yeah, it makes all the difference. And Alex, your engagement today was awesome.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, you just bring another form of magic.
I love your
to
passion.
The room as well.
Yeah. You've got a beautiful passion.
Thanks, guys.
And I'm with you. I am, totally.
Absolutely. And I'm with you, Rochelle. Bring it on. Let's
you know what? I think
changes.
I'm honestly, I've stood alone as an educator for the last 10 years that I've been teaching. I have done things differently. I have taken educational assessments that have been given to me where I've been told that a learner has below average intelligence because they can't spell 20 words. They can only spell 15. You see, and because of this test that's been done with this person that this child met once in this room, this child is now below average intelligence, and the family is distraught. The father feels like he's failed the child. The child feels like they are complete failure to the system. And they come to me and I take that assessment and I tear it up and we throw it away and we say, okay, right. Now let's peel away those layers of the onion, that's protecting all the labels that have been put on the child for the last 10 years. And let's get back down to the core and remind the child who they are. And you cannot believe the most unbelievable growth that can happen. You see this light that comes shining out, and this child realizes that they were never broken and they're whole and complete and there was nothing ever wrong with them to begin with, and it's the most beautiful transition. But we need to do that for millions of children.
Absolutely.
Across
Rochelle,
the globe.
you're a miracle to the education system, and I wish we had more teachers like you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I just
And you
follow
are
my
not
heart.
alone.
I really do.
You're not alone. I'm trying to teach my son. I'm not as lucky as you to be able to teach many. Well, not yet anyway. I'm in the process of teaching my son, who was also labeled as many of your kids were. I've got him sitting here, so I don't want to say too many unnecessary words. But
he knows that they aren't true. But
he
still,
knows
he still
now
thinks
that
they
they're
are a
not
little
true.
bit. I'm sure there's still something at the back of his mind that.
Correct.
It'll take time for that doubt to go away. It causes psychological damage. It's literally destroying the perfect little mindset they already have. So I'm very, very much with you on this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rochelle.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that was magical, and like you said in the beginning, it's perfect.
It's always perfect.
We got
Daddy.
through a lot of stuff. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for giving us the platform to be able to talk about these subjects.
Yes,
My
definitely.
pleasure.
Create awareness.
Thank you. So bring a friend, Rochelle.
I will try. As I said to you, I'm pretty much alone.
that might be your perspective.
Alone. I say alone, but it's actually how I choose it to be.
No, but it's not even that. We were always on the same page as you. You just didn't know that we were.
But people other than, I've made all these wonderful connections all over the world, actually, recently, over the last few months since lockdown. And, just because I don't have a huge group of physical other friends that visit me on the weekend, the whole, I find it more meaningful to have real connections, than this waste of conversation. Why waste your breath? If you're going to have nothing in common and nothing beautiful to speak about, then what are you talking for?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Maybe it sounds harsh.
No, but you know the thing is that basic that principle of we are love and we need to be love and we whatever. I'm like 100% there, but we have to look at the ugly to be able to see.
Yes, you just don't have to converse with the ugly, the people that are negative and down, and the people that can't see the light. They're not willing to change their mindset and see how beautiful we can actually make this universe. So I'm talking more along those lines with people that are not in alignment for what your vision, so it's best to let's set those people free.
You know that there is that bell curve. Okay, so the bottom of the bell curve are the early innovators, the people who will change and are looking for change, and then you have the sort of middle of the bell curve, which is the bulk. So you get to I don't know, I'm using different hands. You get to 18% of the wrong hand. You get to 18% of the bell curve, and then once you've got that initial bit, accepting what you're doing, then the rest, the bulk heading in, the other way, the bulk will follow. All right. And then you have those few, like right at the end, which is that last 15% or 10% or whatever. And those guys, there's nothing you can do for them right now. And of course, once they move from the plugging in Nomarasa phone, they'll then move at some stage 40 years later to the dial tone phones. And then they'll eventually get to the fold out cell phones. And that'll happen over 100, 200 years. But you can't help them today.
Maybe in the next life.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you see, for me, it's always so nice because parents come to me, and it's hard for them to let go of the system initially. It's hard for them to see how different I do things, and for them to let go and think that their child is still being educated. But they see the results in their children. Their children's vocabulary literally quadruples just in a month, and they get upset when Friday comes because it's the weekend. In schools, they have to wait 2 days for school to start. So, it's nice to have that kind of, I don't have to tell you to believe what I'm saying is true, but you can see the results in your child.
Wow.
There's no more anxiety. There's no fear. The child's learning. So that's always a great feeling for me is for them to just have their own experiences and see the difference in their child for themselves. So,
and it's you having faith in what you're doing. I think more than anything else. If you don't believe what you say you're teaching, then it would never get across the children, and you'd not make a difference. So,
and sometimes I'm actually quite brutally honest with them, and it's not nice. And sometimes I even have to say to them, I know this sounds like I'm not being kind, but we always have to speak our truth. And if I can see that you're doing something, and I know why you're doing this, and me telling you why you're doing this actually hurts your feelings, it's because I'm trying to get you to observe yourself and see it's not your fault. You're doing this because you've actually been programmed to react like this, but it's only hurting you. So have a look at it from this perspective. And if you can observe yourself and say, hey, actually, this behavior doesn't make me feel happy. So why am I still doing it? Because that's how I always used to get attention in the past. Because you know what I'm saying, or for whatever reason, but it doesn't have to continue like that, because it's only going to bring you more pain and suffering, and sometimes I have to challenge them and say, I know your parents told you this, but they're wrong. And you can tell them that I said that, and you can tell the parents to come and speak to me, because it's 2020 now, and sometimes we have to change the way we think, whether we like it or not. So I'm sorry that your parents are saying this, and I'm saying something's different, but I know that I'm right. And I want your parents to talk to me if they're not happy. And they've never come to talk to me. So it's speaking my truth, and I just go with it.
Yeah. And I think what you just did there, which is so important, is you made eye contact with the child and you had a direct, connected conversation with them, and you told them exactly what you think. And instead of like, you're doing everything wrong and shouting,
you're so naughty, what you bad, what are you hiding?
That doesn't bring about change. If you truly connect,
you're blaming and shaming.
If you truly connect and you speak to them as responsible adults, you'll be so surprised how incredibly responsible they are.
And I always say to them, am I wrong? Am I wrong in what I'm saying? Because you need to speak your truth and say to me, no, Teacher Rochelle, you're completely wrong. So I give them that opportunity and I say, come on, tell me, do you think I'm wrong by saying this? And they've never said so. They've always said, no, you're right. And it's not that I want to be right. I just want them to feel peace and love, that's all. And if I can get them to look at it from a different perspective, then they can choose that for themselves. What makes me feel better? Wait, let me stop resisting and let me rather feel peace and love, So, and they actually end up understanding each other. And if we can have a world where everybody can love and understand each other, we can love and understand nature. Anyway, so I'm ranting on now.
Wow. No, magic. It's all magical. Thank you. That's the key in building relationships, is that connection, and establishing the connections to nature. That's the rising consciousness, is the connectivity. So, yeah. Anyway, magical. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. Let's call it a day.
Chat to you next week.
All right, go well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.